edition of Under the Floorboards, where we laugh at the creatures that go bump in the night. I am your host, John, joined as always by my beautiful co-host, Eric. How are you this week?
Dude, fabulous. I realize I never asked you this question, but how are you?
Ah.
Yeah.
When I can do a cartwheel again, I'll be pretty fucking
You could
stoked.
never do a cartwheel.
No, I could totally do a cartwheel.
I call
I could
bullshit.
do a handstand before all this shit happened. But more importantly for what is going on, Eric, is we have a beautiful guest this week, the one and only actor, producer, and making her directorial debut, the
Whoa.
one and only Hannah Fierman. Give it up, everybody.
Thank you.
Clap traps.
The clap traps.
Yeah.
Sounds bad. Hi, thank you. Oh gosh, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Welcome to the show.
It's my
Like
pleasure.
I was telling you before we got on, we're really big fans of yours, and you've really kind of taken the indie horror world by storm over the last couple of years between like I was saying, stuff like Time's Up and Terror Trips and Wolf Hollow and like all of these really amazing movies that have been coming out over the last couple of years. So congratulations on all that. But today we're here to talk about Dark Circles. And so the first thing that I kind of have a question for you about is, so in this realm of, I mean, you've kind of been the Swiss Army knife for a while, and like jumping into directing kind of seemed like the next natural step, right? But like, what kind of drew you into this project and saying, hell yeah, I want to direct this?
Well, originally I was the role of Rowan, which you don't know what that means, but was written for me, and it was years in the making. Damien Maffei and I were trying to get this movie going, and then him and his now producer Felissa Rose and Ryan James and Dan Kearney, they they decided they wanted me to direct it. So I said yeah, but I can't act and direct at the same time, not in my first feature film. So that role went to Kate Kiddo, and she did an amazing job.
So this was not Dark Circles was not the original name of this. It was originally called The Events. So what kind of changed that? Like just as far as like I'm assuming this changed when you were already on as a director. So where did that idea kind of come into play?
It was originally the title was originally The Events Surrounding a Peeping Tom, The Events Surrounding a Peeping Tom, and the horror that followed. And then it was changed to The Events Surrounding a Peeping Tom. And then we did an Indiegogo, and it was the first Indiegogo that I'd ever actively been a part of. And we weren't getting any of the usual love. Like people just simply weren't seeing it. And then we realized that it was being lost in some sort of algorithm because it was being tagged or flagged as a sex crime type thing. So yeah, so we changed it to Dark Circles, hoping that was a little more palatable. Although I still prefer The Events Surrounding a Peeping Tom because I think it's got a real nice old school 1950s feel about it. And you know exactly what you're getting into when you're like, oh, The Events Surrounding a Peeping Tom.
It's like
Wonder what this is about.
Like
Yeah.
that's the title. That's the title in our hearts. That's always going to be here now.
Yeah, I'm hoping that whatever distribution decides to pick it up will change it back. Even though I think some of our Indiegogo backers might be a little disappointed because the posters will still say Dark Circles, but maybe
Hey.
it'll be like, no, you don't think so?
No, I was just that's a collector's item now. That's fine. Yeah.
That's limited
Yeah.
edition now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah, right. That's what I was thinking too. So yeah, hopefully, I just really like that. I really like that title.
Yeah, I do too. Like I said, I really like the vibe of feeling like, we're from like because my favorite era of horror is like 70s and 80s, and we were doing I was doing an interview with the people from Hunting for the Hag the other day, and it's very reminiscent of like what you're saying, like those very deliberate like syntax for syntax style of titles, and I love shit like that. I love shit.
Yeah, that's excellent. I have to check that movie out. I mean, just like by the title alone, it's like, yeah, I want to see. I love it.
It's on Amazon. Check it out. It's a lot of
Okay.
fun. It's a lot of
Yeah.
fun. But so probably I don't know 4 5 months ago now, I think was when we had we had an interview with Dan Kearney, who obviously was a big part of this project as well, who we very much love on this show. And I think Dan is about to be our four-peat as of tomorrow.
What is he doing? What is he doing?
It's no longer a trilogy; it's a saga.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's the Dan saga now. So tomorrow is going to be Deadly Endings, which you were which you were also a part of, which I was very stoked for as well. But with Dan, yeah. So with Dan being a big part of this project, when we were interviewing him, and I'd love, since you were the director, I would love to get your description of it. But from him, he was kind of like, this is the kind of movie that you have to go home, you have to turn all the lights off, you have to put your headphones in and just like sit on the floor and like watch it. And there's some of the aesthetics of like the way that y'all kind of chose to do focus and stuff that I noticed in the trailer that I thought was very cerebral of that. But I'd love to hear from you, like, why would Dan say that? Like, why would that be such a description of the film?
I don't know, but it's very flattering. Yes. Thank you, Dan. Yeah, he's the best, the sweetest. So yeah, well, there's a lot to it. It is the sort of film that you really should pay attention to because there's a lot of nuance. There's some Easter eggs. There's, some things that will delight horror people within it. It's not one of those ones you can put on and then do dishes and walk around and still be like, oh, look at that. It's not one of those. Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the story, the way that you perceive it, for what you can tell us.
Spoil everything.
You know what? Just tell us the whole thing right now.
Okay. So I was born in yeah, it's a psychological horror thriller or a psychological thriller horror, whichever. It has horror elements. I wouldn't necessarily just say it's boom a horror movie because that's not all it is. It's basically you're on this journey with the main character who is Martin Malone, who is a peeping Tom, a habitual peeping Tom, and he doesn't really have complete control over his impulses, and it's his. So you go along with him on his personal journey, and also all of the outside stimuli and forces that are happening to him. So a lot of the movie is POV, or it's just like right along with him. So that's played by Damien Maffei, who is a very subtle and just a very talented actor. So it's not boring for to be on the journey with him. It kind of reminds me of Stir of Echoes a little bit in the way that you're on the journey with Kevin Bacon's character, although the script is nothing like that. But it's sort of shot in a similar way, and I just think that's a wonderful perspective to tell a story from because I love characters, and this film is absolutely chock full of eccentric characters that are pretty as well rounded as we could possibly get them in the amount of time that we had, and so Martin is peeping, and he gets in a little trouble, and then he gets in a lot of trouble, and then things go really poorly for poor Martin. And that's all I'm going to tell you.
It's crazy the things with a peeping Tom escalate.
Right.
I had a friend. Okay, so I told my actor friend, I'm not going to tell you who because this is kind of a personal story, but he said when he was young, his mother is very beautiful, and when he was young, there was a peeping Tom who used to crawl up and peep in her window on the second level. They were in a farmhouse or something, and so his dad put nails going up in the sill. And so one evening they all heard this guy just scream from the top of his lungs. And then there was just bloody handprints going all the way down the side of the house.
That's fire. That is so sick. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? He got him good. Oh.
I just imagine your friends out there the next day doing chores with the hose and just watching the side of the house. Yeah.
Who's gonna clean it up? You make the guy clean it up. Make the dude come
Yeah.
back and clean it.
They're like,
Yeah.
let me see your hands.
Yeah.
Holds it up. Yeah.
Right. It matches it to the street.
He's
You're
just
washing it
walking
up.
through town.
He's got two giant bandages like boxing gloves on his face. That's so cool.
Uh,
I love justice.
yeah. That's instant karma.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask, were you part of the casting process for this? Because you guys have a hell of a cast walking into this between Damien and Keto and Kamara. Like there's so much going on in
All
this
star.
film. Yeah.
Oh, well, a little bit. Mostly I mean, we threw a lot of different actors into the pile, and then it was up to me and all the producers. So it wasn't entirely my discretion, but I was absolutely thrilled with who we got. Like the cast is definitely not a problem. Yeah, yeah, there wasn't anybody that I didn't want cast in it that was cast. And yeah, I didn't actually have to do a whole lot of directing, with my cast. They were so damn good that I really there was very little direction that I gave them. They knew their characters better than I did, and I knew they would. So it was easy. It was easy for me. They made me look good.
And kind of piggybacking off of that, what would you like talk about just that first time experience directing a movie? I mean, that's awesome. Being like he was saying, like a Swiss Army knife for so long, and now you finally get to go in the deep end here, and you know.
Well, it's technically not my first. It's I directed a segment of an anthology that is
cool.
Yeah, so it technically is a feature, but also it isn't. So so this is my first feature length. Yeah, and I directed a music video. Wait a minute, when did I direct the music video? No, that was after. Never mind. Yeah, so it was what was the question? That was
Oh yeah, no. Just talking about that experience. I mean,
what's the deep end of the pool.
Yeah, what's the yeah.
Sum it up to.
Right. That's
it was so stressful. It was incredibly stressful. It was very run and gun. We had no time. We had no time at all. It was just hit the ground running. We didn't get rehearsals. There was none of that luxury. And yeah, luckily my cast, they were just so professional. They were completely ready, and they showed up, and they had chemistry and a dynamic even without any rehearsal or any like chemistry reads or anything like that. Yeah, it was but it was worth it. And I would absolutely do it again. This is the first time I directed anything that somebody else had written, which is different than directing your own story. And I was just a little nervous with that because Brian Fitzpatrick is the writer, and the screenplay is just so good that I wanted to do it justice, even though that we were limited because we didn't have a whole lot of money. Like I said earlier, the Indiegogo didn't go very well, and so yeah, I just wanted him to be happy and proud of it because the script was so good, and it deserves to be a good movie. But I feel like we achieved it.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah. I was saying I've been pretty excited for this one. But like you said, there's a lot of stress that kind of came along with, being under the gun a little bit, funds, all of that kind of stuff. But I know on these sets, there's a lot of like really lighthearted moments that happen too. If you like look back, what do you think was the funniest thing that happened while you were on the set for Dark Circles?
Okay, there were a lot, but I was also delirious. So everything was funny. So if I told you the story that I thought was the funniest, you wouldn't think it was the funniest, but whatever, I'll tell you anyway.
You'd be amazed.
Try
okay, there's this one scene where Damien is eating a salad and he's talking to his grandmother's character, and he's saying how special his new girlfriend is, and how mom would think she was special, and she's special because only special people can tell when you're with a special person, and if you're a special person, and like literally, like it was something like that. And he's eating a salad, and he's got like these little bits of lettuce that are just like flopping around, and I could not keep it together. We must have done
Only
we
special
must have,
people eat special salads. It's only
yeah, it was just, and it was his like, just straight face delivery, just like talking to the grandma, and it was just the perfect storm. And I could not stop laughing. We must have done 6 takes. And I fired myself. I was like, guys, I'm not a director anymore. Clearly, I do not deserve this job. I'm firing myself. I'm leaving the house because I had to get out of the house. I could not look at him without losing my shit. Absolutely hysteria. And most of that scene ended up getting cut. Uh, Most of it got cut, but hopefully we'll be able to do a little outtake of that maybe at some point, and maybe in the Blu-ray release or something, because oh god, it was so funny. And then there was this other time on set where one of the characters is supposed to be throwing up, and well, Damien's character is supposed to be throwing up, and Derek Worley, our special effects makeup guy, had rigged up. Yeah, he had. This is the first time I worked with him. He had rigged up this pressurized projectile vomit rig, and we didn't have time to rehearse it, and I knew that it was going to be one of those tricky things because we didn't have time to clean it up either. So we laid down plastic and gave him a few tries with it, and that shit was just, we're shooting it from the side and it just looked like it came straight out of his neck. And it went, and it wasn't his fault. He didn't have any rehearsals, but it was so funny. And then we tried it one more time and it was like something similar. And there was tons of extras there. And they were all just absolutely just thought it was the funniest thing ever. And then eventually I just got Damien to just act it and spit it out. Well, then he does, and the actor that's playing across from him, played by Topher Hansen, who was also my AD, gets it just right in the face and just wipes out. And it was just a really funny slapstick kind of day, just
right, yeah.
But what sucked about it is like my poor AD, he's holding a margarita or whatever, fake margarita, and he lands on it and it cuts his hand open. So it's really not, it really wasn't that funny, but that was just wild. I think it was because there were so many extras too, and they were just having a blast. So it was just added to the chaos. Plus my AD was in the scene, so I didn't have a whole lot of help wrangling. But yeah, it was a really good time. I had a lovely time. But I was working with my friends and people that I had worked with previously, and so I wasn't expecting anything less.
The vibes sound immaculate.
Yeah, I just imagine your AD just being like, "That's actual blood. That's actual blood."
Yeah, no, legit.
Derek, how'd you rig that up? Like,
got the fake barf in it and everything. Yeah, he had this like a
typical Derek fashion.
Yeah, we sort of I think we taped it or something.
Well,
I don't remember.
The film sounds incredible. We want to ask you just like a couple non sequitur questions, just about learning a little bit about Hannah.
Get ready.
Okay.
So if I'm not mistaken, earlier this year you were on vacation in Africa, correct?
Yeah.
What is the craziest thing you saw while you were in Africa?
Oh my gosh.
Because you were actually all over the place.
It was last year. It was December last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the craziest thing I saw was, I don't know if you're gonna believe me, but we were in me and my brother went together, and we were in a safari SUV thing, and we're kind of far away, sort of waiting in line for the other safaris to get out of the way to try to pull up and see what we could tell was a male lion sitting on a bank of a river, of a little creek. And we could also see this gigantic crocodile that was also staring at whatever this male lion was just like entranced by in this creek. And I'm looking through these binoculars and it smells so bad. And I'm just like, this is worse than usual. Is this the creek? Like, what's going on? And I could see these little spires that were sticking up out of the creek, but I couldn't quite figure out what they were, like what I was looking at. And then all of a sudden it clicked. there was a dead hippopotamus that was completely filled up with natural gases because it was dead. And it looked like a St. Patty's Day like balloon animal. It was enormous. It was floating upside down, and the spires were its feet that were sticking straight up in the air. It did not look real at all. And it was just, once we figured out, I was like, oh my gosh, that's what that is. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, that's what this beautiful lion and this giant crocodile are just sitting there, just like staring at. They don't know what to do with it. Like,
Right.
just
They couldn't believe it.
they were just enthralled. It was just like a house cat. Like, it was looking at a dead mouse. Just, I don't know. It was so gross.
Contemplating
Was
mortality. like,
so majestic.
Right.
Just staring at this dead, bloated hippopotamus body.
It's also fragile.
It's me in a pool.
Right.
Just an upside down cat.
Right. It's just your cat sticking straight up in the air. It's like he's like,
oh no.
All right,
yeah,
my turn.
Yeah, that was it.
What goes on your pizza?
Pepperoni, sometimes olives, and a whole bunch of crushed red peppers and Parmesan.
How'd it go?
I love it.
How'd it fucking go?
Thanks.
That's how you do it.
Thank you.
Well, they make fun of me because I eat my I only do this with Pizza Hut pizza for some reason, but I eat it like a serial killer because like I started doing this thing when I was a kid where I would take all the toppings off with the cheese and just eat that and then just pour crushed red pepper over the top, and then that was my pizza. And I'll never understand why that happened, but I can't stop doing it.
Maybe you were just bored and you're just messing with your pizza. I play with my food too. It's a bad habit.
Yeah.
I did not know that about you, John, and I am going to save that for a later date.
Really?
So, yeah.
We've had pizza.
I've never seen you do that before.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to know he's not watching me eat. I think that's almost weirder.
I was wondering how a serial killer ate their pizza, but now I know.
I got by piece, apparently.
Yeah. I believe it.
When you hear the papers in the next couple days,
everything's a multi-course meal if you try hard enough. It's
so Hannah, when you're not taking over the world in film, what are like your hobbies that maybe people don't know about? Like I feel like you're into knitting. I don't know why I get that vibe from you, but
I do crochet. I do.
I'm so good at this game.
He's a superhero.
So good. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I do crochet, and but I haven't in a while, but I literally brought all my crochet stuff from my mom's house home just the other day. It's like you read my mind.
Dude, I think you should, for the next Indiegogo film, or any film that you do in the future for Indiegogo, you should definitely be doing hats.
Brilliant.
Just do five. $500 a piece. It costs like maybe 60 cents worth of yarn. People eat it up.
All right, good to know. I'm never going to do another Indiegogo, but at least I know what my hats are valued at, in your opinion.
Yeah, he's our ideas guy. He's our.
That's why we're doing so well.
Right.
So obviously, like as a movie creator, you're also probably a very avid movie watcher. What kind of like makes you like, especially in the horror realm or even outside of that, like what movies are you just like, these are the best, these are the things that I love to watch all the time, these are like always in my back pocket kind of thing?
Well, they're very specific. I love to watch Groundhog Day. Nice. I love that movie. I watch it all the time. I love it. It's just like, leave it on. It's always funny. I don't know. I love it.
The irony of you watching Groundhog Day over and over again isn't lost on me. That's that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Maybe I'll just leave it at that one then. Yeah. And I wanted to tell you guys that Dark Circles is it. Okay, so all the elements are finished, right? But we still are waiting to get our color from our colorist into my editor's hands and my VFX into the editor's hands. And post sound is also in the process of being transferred literally right now. So it is completed. but we don't have distribution obviously yet. We don't know where you guys can watch it or anything like that. But I just wanted to get a jump and tell you guys that it is completed. But
Yes.
yeah, but
Hey,
I'll
congrats.
thank you. I'll just have to update you guys when it gets sold and where it's going to be.
Please do.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. We're super excited for it. I know you know, talking to all of these filmmakers, you know, it's such a weird area right now for distribution, you know, and I feel like especially with a lot of the, you know, power that you guys have behind this between your like yourself and Felissa Rose and Damien Maffei, like those are really good things from what I hear for pitching to a lot of these things now. So I think ultimately y'all are not going to have a lot of trouble getting this into distribution. Not trying to jinx y'all, but I really do think like even just the teaser trailer looks so good, you know.
Thank you.
And
Thank
that's
you.
so
Yeah.
are y'all going to have an official trailer to drop as well, or is the teaser trailer kind of like the trailer?
I would imagine so. Either that or whoever does end up buying it might cut their own trailer.
Okay.
But yeah, it just really depends. Yeah, it just really depends on who picks it up and how much they want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So with it being done, are y'all already in talks with distribution? I take it that happens a lot earlier than.
Sort of. I mean, there's been a few people who have reached out to us, um, but I haven't powwowed with everybody. You know, I don't know if everybody agrees on any. I mean, nobody agrees on any one yet, and so yeah. So we don't know. There's no more likelies than others at this point.
Heard.
Yeah, but it feels like one of those things that has the potential to be out this year. I
I
think it,
hope so.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. But, I also am not entirely certain how long the marketing process will be. So,
yeah,
but it could easily be December. Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, I mean, that just means, guys, be on the lookout. You can actually follow Hannah Fierman, where you can look right down below and see where to follow her on Instagram, as well as the Dark Circles page as well for all of these updates. But Hannah, is there anything else you want to tell your fans about this film or anything you want to say to them?
Um, yeah, please be kind to me and don't, don't crucify my direction. Um, yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. Everything else is amazing. So,
Don't
I don't know.
crucify me, bro.
I hope you like it. That's all I got. That's all I got, man.
Well, Hannah, you have been an absolute delight on this show, and thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for joining us once again. Give it up for Hannah. There'll
I
be
shall.
clap tracks in the video.
That's what I do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Thank you. This has been fun.
absolutely. And thank you guys once again for joining us. We're at Creeks, it Cracks, and we laugh at the creatures that go bump in the night. Good night, everybody.